Please start.
Good evening. So welcome to this course and welcome to today's live session, our first live session for this course, Introduction to Film Studies. I am your instructor, Aisha Iqbal Vishamohan. Let's start with your questions. Before we begin with your questions, there are lots of queries I'm getting about the mode of assessment and evaluation. So the most important thing to remember for your evaluation is that please submit your assignments on time. It's a 12 weeks course. You submit your assignments on time. If you miss the deadline, your assignments won't be accepted. This is important to remember. So submission is important. NPTEL has its own mechanism of calculating your marks. So out of, let's say, 12 submissions, they will take a bunch of the best assignments and give you your marks accordingly. However, I strongly recommend that you submit all your assignments and on time. If you miss the deadline, please do not write to me because I won't be able to help you. NPTEL takes takes the final call, and they in the past they have been very clear that no submissions after the deadline. So please submit your deadline assignments according to the deadline. After that, there will be end semester. Please don't miss it. It's mandatory. So both assignments and end sem exams are mandatory. And based on that, your marks would be calculated and your certification will be given. Also remember that both assignments as well as end semester, they are MCQ types. So with that, we will begin this live session. We are meeting today. We will have two more meetings, one in August and another one in September before your exams. Alfred wants to know how to connect a sci-fi concept to real-life emotions. I don't know what you mean, how to connect, but one good example is the Terminator series, especially Terminator 2, where the machine starts developing human emotions. If you want to ask me how to develop a screenplay like this, then you will have to read a couple of good books on screenplay writing or screenwriting. Sid Field has written some very good books, but there are other people also who have written books on the art of screenwriting, and Terminator is often included in it. So sci-fi concept to real life emotion. So I think Terminator is the best example, and to understand how it was written, you will have to look at the way the screenplay has been analyzed. Arvind wants to know what type of stories does Wes Anderson do? He does human stories, right? Human as situated, he does quirky stories. Why we like him so much is because of his very unique mise-en-scène. Mise-en-scène is the combination, as you know, during the as you go deeper into this course, you will realize that mise-en-scène is what? The way sets are constructed, actors are, actors acting and performance, makeup, clothes, color scheme, of course. So in Wes Anderson, all these things come together to form something more organic, that is mise-en-scène. Now, his mise-en-scène sort of propels his stories. He does human stories and human emotions and the quirkiness in the human nature. So his most recent movie, French Dispatch, if you have watched the movie, please, I'm sure you will understand because it is set during the Second World War. And look at the way he has dealt with the various characters. It's an ensemble cast, and every character has its own unique quirks and how they relate to each other. So I think when you watch a Wes Anderson movie, those are the things that you should consider. Mise-en-scène is extremely important. Karan Singh, I'm looking at the last one because it just caught my attention. Will the content be archival? Yeah, this is a rerun course. However, we keep on doing these live sessions to sort of, freshen up the course. Or will there be any fresh videos in this iteration of the course? See, therefore, I have two courses related to film studies. One is film appreciation, in which you will find plenty of fresh videos. And in this course, you will find whatever is missing in this particular course, you will find in film appreciation. Okay, so if you want to do perhaps, go beyond introduction to film studies, then I would suggest that next semester you go for film appreciation. Okay, Arvind's question. I have one question. What kind of questions will be asked in the final? It will be MCQs, no essay and no short answer. Okay, this is important. Monisha is asking, please add the movie clips. No, it is not possible. What happens is that some other colleague for some other course, at some other IIT, they had tried this, and YouTube had blocked them. So what happened is that it is not always possible to take permission. It is a long winding process to take permission, and we don't want our videos to be blocked. So what I did was the next best thing, I gave a lot of links. So kindly go through the links and you will understand. I understand that, for a film studies course, visual course, you need to watch the clips. But as such, we are in a public domain, and copyright acts are, rules are very, very strict. So somehow, we don't want the institute to get involved with those kinds. I mean, we have enough of our own things to do. So this is something we don't want to do, that we are asked to get into the copyright concerns also. So therefore, this is but then I have mentioned the movies. Another thing that I want to draw your attention to is this, that a former student had made a very comprehensive, exhaustive list of all the films that I mentioned in this course, and he has given it an IMDb link. I have given that link on the website of the course, and along with the reading list. I suggest that you look at the IMDb list, where all the films mentioned in Introduction to Film Studies, and my name. You can Google my name and this course, and then you will see that all the films are mentioned there. Many of these films and the clippings are available online. There is nothing that is not there in the public domain. So that's the next best thing. Swaminathan's question is, in writing a critical analysis, of a film, what are the aspects we should highlight? Of course, the mise-en-scène, the visual, yeah. So, for example, are we expected to comment? You are not expected to comment on for anything in this course, but if this is a general course, yes. Genre, dialogue, editing, performance, symbolism, quotes, metaphors, semiotics, etc., etc. Yes, this is the way film analysis is done. Okay, now since I think you want critical analysis is different, film analysis is different. There are a couple of big names in the domain of film criticism. Roger Ebert, Pauline Kael, David Thompson. So these are the names that you should look at. But then there are a number of very good websites who do a lot of good film reviews and analysis. You should look at them and see if this is what you want to do. When I write such analysis, I will assume the examiner has seen the movie. This will help me not to repeat the plot or summary. Is this assumption right? When you write an analysis, you're assuming that some people have seen the movie. Now, you have to give your readers a basic idea of the plot. So don't assume too much. You have to say what is the basic outline of the story or the plot. So I wouldn't say this assumption is right. When I read a film review in our newspapers, the person is trying to overinterpret and ascribe things which were not even thought about. No, I don't think so. Because directors who are very serious about their work, they think about a lot of things and they want you to interpret it. There is a thing called telling stories and showing stories. In telling stories, you are told all the time what to think, okay, or how to interpret. So people will be discussing other people and their motives will be discussed. At the same time, background music will also tell you what to make out of this character or the situation. Showing means you just watch the scene and then it is left to you what to make out of it. So I don't think that any interpretation is over-interpretation. Yes, so to come to the second part, can I get away with any of my subjective opinion or interpretation? Yes, you can. Rose wants to know, how do we classify? Okay, a reflexive film, first I'll talk about it. I think you are talking about self-reflexive cinema, which shows you the process of making a film. The best film could be Francois Truffaut's Day for Night, where he even talks about who is an author and if an author is bigger than the movie. Author, if you have watched a couple of my videos, then you will understand that an author is a French term used for the director of the movie. And the idea is that the director of movie is a director's medium and not anyone else's. So a reflexive film or a self-reflexive film is that comments a movie that comments on the process of making a film. So, for example, Bhumika is a self-reflexive movie. Satyajit Ray's Nayak is a self-reflexive movie. Day for Night is self-reflexive. Luck by Chance, Zoya Akhtar's Hindi movie, is a self-reflexive movie. A Woman's Film is a movie in which I would say two things. You have the central protagonist, a woman as a central protagonist. It tells you a woman's story from a woman's point of view. So just because a woman has a big role or meaty role doesn't necessarily make it a woman's picture. Woman's picture film is told from a woman's point, and woman is the central protagonist there. Purvi, I came across few questions which required extra reading. Yes, and reading material is given. Please look at the website. List of movies to watch and books to read. Everything is given. Yakesh, welcome back. I met you in the first course also. How to interact. Interact through live sessions and also through the discussion forum. Devendra want to know scope for research in the field. Yeah, there is plenty of research scope. Post-colonialism, gender studies, Indian cinema and globalization, cinema of social consciousness, costume and fashion in cinema, spaces in cinema. So all these are certain topics that you can. So it is a vast, immense scope. Area, and there is a lot of scope. Sunil Kumar, please guide me about criticizing the film. I just talked about it. But to begin with, you read a couple of good essays by Roger Ebert and Pauline Kael. I always give Hollywood examples because otherwise the question comes that why not from this language and that language. So best destination is, you read about these the works by these Western film critics, and They will tell you everything that you need to know about film criticism. Kiran wants to know curriculum of film studies in most colleges. Hindi cinema, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I disagree. Hindi cinema is different, Indian cinema is different. And there's no question of inclusivity and all, because Hindi cinema is part of the larger umbrella that is Indian cinema. Indian cinema includes cinema from various languages of our country, right? So we have Bengali, we have Tamil and Telugu and Malayalam cinema. We have cinema from Assam and various parts of the country. So Hindi cinema is just one part, but then, of course, is the popularity of Hindi cinema and is the global reach of Hindi cinema that has made it so, sort of face of Indian cinema, like it or not, okay? So that's the way it is. But people who know about cinema and film studies, they know that Indian cinema is much more than Hindi cinema or Bollywood. Okay, so Moin, in the modern world of social media, attention span is becoming due to OTT platforms. Traditional cinema going experience is also diluting. What will be the future of cinema? All right. Future of cinema is, definitely, if you look around globally, you just had a very big blockbuster, Top Gun Maverick. Okay, big star, big budget, and it's a sort of, a sequel to the first Top Gun that came almost like 32 years ago, something like that. Now, at the same time, we talk about OTTs. All right. So cinema will always be there in whatever form. OTTs are here to stay, but then it depends on how filmmakers make the movie. Because see, Tom Cruise, almost in his late 50s, but is still a major star, and it's a very expensive movie, and it has done very well globally. And it's not about machines and it's not about robots. Okay, so it's not an Avenger or superhero kind of movie. It tells you a human story. So future of cinema is interesting. Just wait and watch. The world is just coming out of a major crisis, that is the pandemic. So let's see how filmmakers approach this. Abhinarayan Gowda. Should a film always have conflicts? Without a conflict, do you want to watch a movie without a conflict? Okay, but then of course there are movies, European cinema, where ostensibly nothing much happens. The camera is static, but then the idea is that conflict is all internal conflict. So Sahil Dhal wants to know which film impact has a strong, without any doubt, Italian neorealism and also French New Wave. And how do you see the movies being produced nowadays in Bollywood? Okay, produced in the sense, see, we have a lot of younger actors are coming up, if you're talking about Bollywood. Okay, and younger filmmakers are also coming up. So what was doing well, let's say 5 years ago, is no longer, it is no longer the recipe for success. So what we are seeing is that there is a lot of change, and let's see how it goes. Srinivas, visual metaphor and film grammar. Okay, let me just talk about film grammar. And when I talk about the grammar of cinema, see, I'll give you one example, but because let's not get too much into this topic. For Indian cinema. I'm not talking about Hindi cinema, Indian cinema. Music is an integral part of cinematic grammar. For every situation, there is a song, right? So watch a movie like Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. Okay, and everything happens. The story moves with songs. So that is part of film grammar. Okay, and visual metaphor. Well, I'll give you one good example. Watch this Hollywood movie called American Beauty. The color red is so dominant there. And red suggests a lot of things: desire, passion, also murder. Okay, so the color stands for a certain kind of cinematic grammar, cinematic symbolism. So that is your metaphor. Muni Raja is asking primary quality of the film to be timeless. What are you give me some examples of timeless movies, timeless classics? Rachel Dwyer, who is a very prominent British scholar, film scholar, who is also an academician. She has written a book called 100 Great Bollywood Movies. Okay, and then she talks about, all these movies that are timeless. I'm talking about Hindi movies, okay, because the book is about Hindi movies and the timeless Hindi movies. So you have a list of films in it that are considered timeless. So you go through it, and then I think you will get a good understanding of what makes a movie timeless. Karan Singh, is the trend of Indian films focusing on small towns? Yes, it's a good idea. But, there is a difference between 40s and 50s cinema. They were more about the rural. But now we are talking about a small towns. So we are not talking about villages. Dam laga ke Haisha, lipstick under my burqa, Bareilly ki barfi. These are not rural in the village. But Ganga Jamuna, that is a rural, that is set in a rural background. So why this is happening? Because you see, perhaps people have had too much of that NRI diaspora kind of movies, and they wanted to have something more which is closer to their reality. So therefore, with the rise of the trend in small towns and social issues, what we are seeing now is that those stars who are very big during that cinema of NRIs and diaspora, so they perhaps they are out of place in this cinema of small towns and social issues. So therefore we have younger and stars and newer actors who are more suitable for this kind of cinema. So Rajkumar Rao, for example, Ayushman, for example, Nawazuddin, of course. So there would be more examples. Tapsum, why we could not conduct a meeting on Zoom? We are conducting it on Zoom, right? This is Zoom for me. Vicky is asking, will it be possible to have live session on a movie screening with everyone engaged in this course and bring up ideas about our cinema movement, more like creating a film club? Okay, see, for that, many people have to consent to join, and then let's think about it. Okay, live session or a movie screening with everyone engaged in this course, and then bring about what we think about our cinema movement. Yeah, good idea. More like creating a film club. You know what? Why don't you people take this initiative and discuss it amongst yourself? And when you meet me next time, let me know how it went. Karan wants to know, how will this course help in becoming? Say, I'll tell you what, professional film reviewer, definitely it will help. Definitely it will have. Look at the concept that this course is using. Look at the kind of ideas, the theories, the vocabulary of this course. Where else will you get it? And those are the things that you need to become a professional film reviewer and critic. And point of, yes, you can blog about cinema. If your language is better, then you can write for magazines. So yes, there are possibilities. Jayendra wants to know what will be the probable timings for, 3 hours. It's a 3 hours, 3-hour long exam. Because the date is nearby Diwali and traveling. Okay. Oh, so I'm sure NPTEL will have a solution for that, because I'm not really involved, sorry, with the fixing the dates and the schedule for the exam. Dr. Mohan Kumar, do we discuss it? Yeah, screenplay? No, we haven't really discussed the screenplay in this particular course. And Anna wants to know elements of this course to OTT. Of course, why not? You can apply the elements of this course to film series also. Mise en scène, for example, you can apply it to any TV series, any OTT or web series in any language, I would say. Johan wants to know link of videos in the chat, or at least tell us where we could access it from. Okay, Johan, better idea would be to go to IMDb, Introduction to Film Studies. Look at the courses, look at the film titles, and start watching films, or at least whatever is available on YouTube, and you will understand. It is not really necessary that you have to watch only those film clips that I like or I am suggesting. You look at the films, the titles, and then Google them, and you will find plenty of clips and scenes from those films. Watch them at your leisure and according to your taste. Karan wants to know, realism of cinema correlates with economic prosperity. Yes, of course. Richer countries look for realism and grittiness, while poor countries want what? And grandeur. How right is this assumption? Well, you see, it depends on the spectators. In poor countries, audience, majority, they have had so much of poverty and grittiness in their day-to-day life. They want to escape, right? So therefore, we have this so-called expression, escapist cinema. We have escapist cinema. Okay, but then so did Hollywood. If you look at the Hollywood cinema of the golden age of Hollywood, 40s and 50s. But then you remember if America was coming out of the Great Depression and the Second World War. So it was, it was always a rich country, but then there was a chunk of population that was not all that well off, and they wanted films with rich people in it. So yes, what you say is quite correct, quite true, because after all, people want some kind of escapism and entertainment in their lives. Too much of harsh reality is also unbearable. So yes, they turn towards cinema. Good observation. Muni Raja wants to know primary college. Oh, I have already told you, you read that book or any, book which has 100 best films of all time. That number of films. David Thompson has written, Roger Ebert has written. So all these, you pick up any of these books and they will tell you what are the qualities. If you ask me, this is the 50th year of The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola's. Yeah. What makes it timeless? What makes The Godfather timeless? One could be the direction, of course. The story, which is very universal, touches a chord with everyone, although it is about mafia and gangsters, and we don't belong to that category of people. But then it is also about a family, and all of us understand what a family is all about. So perhaps, that, and then of course, great performances. The actors who were in The Godfather, they many of them became superstar after the movie, and there is still, many of them are still working. So performance and direction, production values, and all these things. Yep. So, but that has to be a basic human element. I just mentioned the Terminator. The Terminator is a timeless classic, according to me. Now, it is a great sci-fi movie. It has great visuals. I'm talking about the 92 version, or 91 or 92 version, Terminator 2, The Judgment Day. It has excellent visuals, even by today's standard. So it doesn't look like, the movie has really aged well. But one thing that remains with you is the human quality, the human relationship in the movie. It's a kind of emotional story between this boy, fatherless boy, and the robot, this machine, who becomes like a father figure to him. And that's something that is, that is at the heart of the movie. So I think every great movie needs to have that kind of an emotional connect. Yeah. So coming to the format, assignments are MCQ types, end semester MCQ type. Please submit your assignments on time. NPTEL office will decide about the dates, venue, etc. I have no role to play there. So please don't send me mails about that. If you miss the assignment submission or miss the deadline, then you please don't write to me, because NPTEL is not going to entertain anyone, not even me. So if you miss it, you miss it. That's it. And it's all MCQ type. And what else? Yeah. So we will be having our next meeting next month. Then perhaps you can bring more questions. And as Vicky was suggesting, perhaps some of you can get together, watch a movie together, and then when we meet next time, you can perhaps discuss it with me. But let me know that this is the film you have been discussing. Okay. Any other question? Have I responded to all of you? I think so. We could have Zoom session. Oh, you mean, okay, live Zoom session where all of you are there around. I'll talk to my tech support staff if that is possible, and we will let you know. When we meet next time, I will let you know. Naveen, I have already responded. What type of questions MCQ types, and all based on whatever we have been doing in the course. But there will be some questions which may come from outside, in the sense that they have been discussed, they have been referred to, but then some understanding, some knowledge about cinema is also always desirable and welcome. So please be prepared with that also. Because see, we always level of difficulty is like moderate to difficult. So much of the many of the questions that you will find in the NSEM, you will find that they are all, most of them are based on the lectures. But then you will, if you do a little bit of extra reading, it would be extremely helpful if you want to score higher marks. Anna wants to know, when will the transcripts of the course be made available? I think the transcripts are available. I will have to check with the NPTEL team, because we do have that facility. If there is any other question, let's have it. Okay, okay. Thank you then. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks a lot, and we will meet next month. If possible, come join me, having watched a film.